All right, so the Trump tariffs are officially out. And as we could see, Bitcoin did not like those tariffs. We pumped all the way up to $88,500, grabbing a ton of liquidity that I talked about in my free Telegram. And now we have since dumped massively. Crazy volatility as expected with this tariff announcement. And what we can see here on our trusty chart is that Bitcoin very much had an indecision day, seeing huge wicks to both sides of this daily candle. Now, currently, this is a red daily candle. And to be fair, it did get rejected exactly where we discussed it could get rejected, which was right around this level, right above this downwards trend line, and right into this orange zone around the 200-day moving average and also the bull market support band. As we can see, we wicked above and now we have since come back down. Now, if we take a look at the liquidation heat map, what we can see is that we went ahead and grabbed all of this liquidity all the way up to basically $90,000 before reversing, which was always highly probable with this kind of event. If the market is to move lower, it tends to pop up first, grab the liquidity before it can go and move lower. Now, Bitcoin dominance, I just want to bring this up because if you are uncertain about this current market, the one thing that you can be certain about is indeed Bitcoin dominance, because Bitcoin dominance will likely continue to increase, and I firmly believe that we will go ahead and fill this wick. You'll remember that as soon as this wick was actually printed, I said that we would go ahead and fill it. And honestly, if we zoom out on this chart here and we take a look at some higher levels, it is entirely possible that Bitcoin dominance goes all the way up to 66%, because whatever price fluctuations happen for Bitcoin, altcoins continue to bleed against Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is, of course, not the only thing that got impacted. During this tariff announcement, we saw that $1.3 trillion got erased from the stock market almost immediately within 4 minutes. As we can see, a huge red candle for the stock market. And as we discussed on the channel, if stocks move lower, so will Bitcoin, especially with all of this uncertainty in the markets. So what did these tariffs actually include? Outside of the 25% auto tariffs, which we already covered in a couple videos ago, today President Trump announced that all of the countries that are currently imposing tariffs on the US would receive 50% of those tariffs back. What do I mean by this? If we take a look at this chart over here, we can see that, for example, the US is currently paying 67% tariffs for China, and now China will have to pay 34% back, and so on and so forth across the entire list. Yes, we have the European Union. Currently, the US is paying them 39% tariffs, and now they're getting 20% back. Now, there are some countries here that are imposing smaller tariffs on the US, but as a base, the US is imposing 10% at the bare minimum for these countries. And as we can see, there's a massive list of countries affected. Here is the first list, here is the second list, here is the third list, and here is the fourth list. And as I mentioned, the countries, for example, that are only imposing 10% on the US will be receiving 10% back as a base, but the other countries that have historically imposed higher tariffs on the US will get those tariffs back in half. So basically, if we take a look at another example here of a bigger one, India imposes 52% tariffs on the US. Now they will be receiving 26% tariffs back. And the list goes on and on and on. So what am I looking at now? Well, we still have the key levels that we need to break for me to turn bullish. And until then, I still think that it is entirely possible that we come back down and make a new low. There is too much uncertainty, and during these upcoming weeks, there is likely to be a lot more volatility, especially with inflation and unemployment data coming out. So just to summarize for you, here's what happened. So tariffs were imposed on over 50 countries in the announcement. Tariffs are 50% of rates imposed on the US by country, as we discussed. There's the 10% baseline tariff. There's the 25% auto tariffs on all foreign-made vehicles, which we talked about 2 videos ago. Trump does keep on saying that the tariffs will give the US growth. He plans to announce the largest tax cut in US history. Baseline tariffs go into effect April 5th, and reciprocal tariffs go into effect April 9th. So be prepared for that. Likely to be a lot of volatility in the markets, but so far this was a pretty disgusting dump after we pumped to the upside, grabbing the liquidity before we are to move on lower. But as we talk about on the channel all the time, volatility does mean opportunity. And if you want to trade this market, you can click the first link in my description down below. It brings you directly to weeks where you can earn a 50% deposit bonus. That means that if you deposit $2,000 into your account, you get $1,000 back for trading purposes. All you need is an email and a password to sign up. And we also have BitFi, which is another solid exchange. As you know, I always recommend that you spread out your portfolio across multiple exchanges for the optimal security. This one also only needs an email and a password to sign up, and you get a 15% bonus cashback if you sign up with the second link in my description down below. And just quickly before I wrap up this video, one of the reasons why this could be an even more volatile week is because we're likely going to see some responses from other countries on these tariffs. And so potentially there will be some retaliation here, and the market could get very, very spooked. So be careful how you're trading this market. And that reminds me, if you want to see how I'm navigating the market, the kind of insights and things that I'm looking at on a daily basis, feel free to join my free Telegram group down below. And that sums up today's video. Trump imposed a ton of tariffs on over 50 countries, and the stock market tanked, and so did crypto. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. I stayed up till 1 in the morning to record this video for you. I hope you enjoyed it because it was right after Trump's tariffs came out. I'll see you in tomorrow's video.